Call tonight's council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Council members Brown,
Here.
Costello,
Here.
Jameson,
Here.
Knutson,
Here.
Litz,
Here.
Staggers,
Present.
Anderson,
Here.
Benninga.
Here. We have a quorum present for tonight's meeting. Tonight will be led in invocation by Pastor Michael Peterson from Celebrate Church. After the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'd ask everyone to please rise.
Let us pray. Gracious God, thank you for this day. Lord, I want to pray for the people in Sioux Falls. I pray that as these leaders continue to plan and make decisions, may the city trust them and regard them in high esteem as their leaders. Help us not to forget others. As the economy seems to waver, we know you won't. Let us continue to look beyond ourselves and focus on those that may be worse off than us. We want Sioux Falls to be a city known for helping out each other. May we avoid selfishness at all costs. Thank you for this time you provide for these city leaders to get together. Lord, we ask for your protection upon them. May they feel comforted as they serve this city. They go through ups and downs in life just like all of us, and may the job here not be a burden to them, but a joy. Bless each and every person serving here today. You have placed them in leadership for a reason. May they use their gifts and talents to serve this city and make it better for the future. Help them to continue to plan for tomorrow, but lead today. Jesus, in your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Come up, and there's some other folks coming. If you're coming, please come on up. There you go. We have a proclamation that reads, whereas 4 million women are victims of severe assault by their intimate partners annually in the United States, and nearly 1 in 4 women are likely to be abused by a partner in her lifetime. Whereas in 2007, 942 domestic assault arrests and protection order violation arrests were made by the Sioux Falls Police Department and the Minnehaha County Sheriff's Office. Whereas in the year 2007, 1,100 women and children were sheltered from abuse at the Children's Inn, and 2,922 crisis calls were answered at Children's Inn Domestic Abuse Shelter. The Compass Center provided 3,523 intervention services to 160 victims of domestic violence and counseled 189 perpetrators of domestic violence on how to stop abusive behavior. Whereas in the year 2007, the court system in Minnehaha County received 1,266 petitions for stalking and domestic violence protection orders, and in the first 8 months of 2008 had received 938 requests for protection orders from victims of domestic violence. Whereas a dedicated group of citizens have been fighting domestic violence together through the Minnehaha County Family Violence Council for 27 years, and whereas wearing a purple ribbon during the month of October and attending the Take Back the Night rally on October 9th, 2008, at the Washington Pavilion in downtown Sioux Falls at 6 p.m. will represent support for the victims of domestic violence. Whereas the voices of victims offer us important insight into the personal pain and loss that victims endure, and are voices that deserve our attention, respect, and support. Now, therefore, I, Dave Munson, Mayor of the City of Sioux Falls, do hereby proclaim October 2008 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Sioux Falls. Thank you. Now I'd like to call Chief Barthel up. We have a award we'd like to present.
It's not often that I give out these Outstanding Citizens Awards. As a matter of fact, you can probably count them on one hand, the number that we've given out over the years, and so you can realize how significant it is when we actually do give one out. Tonight we have with us Kay Marie Kiso. About a week and a half ago, Kay was traveling in our city at about 2:30 in the morning when she came across a lady who was standing in the street, obviously had been the victim of an assault, was crying, and Kay, rather than just simply driving by, stopped and to help out and see what the problem was. She quickly realized that this victim was, in fact, the victim of a brutal assault. And not only did Kay help pick up the victim and take her to a local hospital, on their way to the hospital, she was able to help identify and locate the perpetrator of that horrendous crime. Within an hour of receiving that information, we had the subject in custody, and later he was charged with rape and aggravated assault, robbery, as well as kidnapping. I'm quite confident, had it not been for the assistance of Kay on that night, that it's very possible that subject would still be roaming free on the streets, and who knows what else he might be doing. So, on behalf of the citizens of Sioux Falls and the Sioux Falls Police Department, we'd like to recognize Kay tonight for her excellent work on that night, and we've got a plaque that we'd like to present to her. I'll just read what it says. This is the City of Sioux Falls Outstanding Citizen Award presented to Kay Marie Kiso in recognition of your outstanding service on September 26, 2008, to the Sioux Falls Police Department and the citizens of Sioux Falls in assisting an assault victim and providing crucial information that led to the arrest of the suspect. It's signed by Mayor Dave Munson and myself. Kay, on behalf of the City of Sioux Falls, thank you very much and congratulations.
Okay, we'll get started with the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Knutson.
Knutson makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further motions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Stagers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
All members present have voted. The consent agenda has been approved 8-0. Is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question regarding the agenda,
With the regular?
the regular
Okay.
agenda. If we approve the regular agenda now, can we later walk in another amendment or another item?
If you get to walk in an item, if you're going
do
to
that
walk
later?
in an item, it's going to take 6 votes to walk it in.
But we can do that later in the meeting?
What I'd like, if you could, when we make a motion to approve the regular agenda now, then why don't you make the motion to walk it in? Because
I don't know-
you want to calendar it now, right?
Right. But
So-
I don't know that anybody may or may not want to do that. I'm just, point of order.
Well, then
I want to
you'd
get-
vote on it. You'd vote yes or no if you want to calendar it. So it'd be 6 votes to
But
calendar.
we could do that later on in the meeting?
Well, I don't know where you'd put it at that time because we need to get a calendar.
Or even at the end of the meeting?
Huh?
Even at the
We've
end of the
We've
meeting?
never really done it that way prior to that, so if you could do it now, that'd be great. Is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So move, Costello.
Costello moved. Is there a second?
Second, Benninger.
Benninger seconded. Are there further motions on the regular agenda?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I have an amendment to move item 31 ahead of item 21?
Okay,
Or,
that's...
I'm sorry, 19. Was it 19?
I thought it was
21. It was 21.
yeah. Okay, that's the motion to amend and move item 31 above 21.
I second that motion.
That motion's been made and seconded. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, move item 31 above 21 will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benega.
Yes. All members present voted. That motion has been approved. Other motions? Not? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the regular agenda as amended will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmembers Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
All members present voted. The regular agenda has been approved 8-0 as amended. Now is the time that we set aside 5 minutes for public input, and what we ask is if you're going to address the council to come forward and give your name and your address for 5 minute input. Anyone wishes to address the council for 5 minutes, come forward, please.
Good evening. I'm Kim Bartling from 1607 South Fifth Avenue here in Sioux Falls. And tonight I'd like to address the council, and I've stood in front of the council before and asked for money for numerous arts activities in the city, but today I'm just here to say a public thank you. I'd like to thank you for your continued support of the Orpheum Theater, not only personally but also financially. In the past year alone, I directed a show down on behalf of the Sioux Empire Community Theater, Still Magnolias. Every year as a college professor, I give tours of the facility, and right now I'm doing a musical with the Joe Foss High School kids, which basically celebrates everything that's good in the city and the arts. And I would like to thank you for that. I'd like to publicly thank Russ DeCurtins, Terry Torkelson, Marissa Carlson, and especially Wyatt Yeager. We walked down with the Joe Foss kids this past week, and Wyatt treated those kids like they were the kings of the theater, and they are running the sound and the lights, and they are performing, and it is making a difference in these students' lives. So I just want to publicly acknowledge their expertise, how accommodating they are, and thank the council for continually supporting the Orpheum Theater. It's everything that's good with this city and in the arts in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, very much. Others that wish to address the council for 5 minutes, come forward, give your name and address.
Mayor, may I just add something to what Kim said? Or Kim, would you come and just tell us the name of the play and when it is on? I mean, there was a great 2-page article in the Argus this weekend about it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's called Second Chances, and it's a musical we've been working on at the University of Sioux Falls with Joe Foss for over a year now. The students at Joe Foss, the high school there, they do not have theater nor music, and so we went in last year. Janelle Mills, who's their wings coordinator, had written some music. I listened to it last summer and said, yeah, let's do a musical. So for a year now, these students have been writing. I've been taking those writings and compiling it into script form, and now we have approximately, I think, 23 students are on stage from Joe Foss. Another 15 students from the University of Sioux Falls are on stage, as well as all of the artwork was done by Joe Foss students. Like I said, sound and lights, everything is being done. And we're at the Orpheum. Why that's so important is these students are coming out of all of the other public school systems. Right? This is not really their first choice of schools, it's their second choice. So the idea of going back to one of their schools to perform was not an option. And so going to the Orpheum Theater, we've had wonderful community members, that's another part, who have supported this financially and helped pay for the cost of the rental. So it's a huge community project.
And Kim, the play is this Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. at the Orpheum, is that
and
correct?
Thursday night, 7:30, and it's free of charge. Second Chances. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question also.
Yes, sir.
I've heard just little rumors about a children's theater for the Orpheum. Are you any part of that? or-
I'm on the Orpheum Advisory Board, and that continues to be a discussion with numerous groups, and I think you'll see that sooner than later. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Others that wish to address the council for a period of 5 minutes, name and address, please. Seeing no one come forward, we'll move into the regular agenda, and we'll move into item number 18.
Deferred action, revocation, conditional use permit, allowing motor vehicle display and sales within an existing commercial parking lot in the C2 General Commercial District at 4915 North Cliff Avenue. The Planning Commission recommended approval on September 4th, 2002.
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. Last week, staff conducted an inspection of this property, and all of the requirements of the conditional use and other ordinances have been met. based on that inspection. And so tonight, staff would like to request a withdrawal of this revocation.
Okay, you're asking for a withdrawal. It'll be noted that item number 18 will be withdrawn. Let's go to 19.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing appropriations and the means of financing them for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2009.
Gene Roanhorse, Director of Finance. This is the second reading of the ordinance that will provide funding for the 2009 budget. You've seen Exhibit A. You've had that available. That is the actual appropriation of funds. And I'll answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions of Gene on item 19? Others that wish to address the council on item 19? Not. Is there a motion to approve? Costello moves. Second?
Second, Litz.
Let's second. Further comments, motions on item 19?
I have an amendment, Mayor.
Okay.
I move to amend the main motion to read the 2009 appropriation ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2009 by inserting the amount of $40,701,216 of tax levies, which the Finance Director has directed to certify to the Minnehaha and Lincoln County auditors in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 9-21-19 and South Dakota Codified Law 10-13-35.
Okay, that's the motion been made. Is there a second to that motion?
Second, Brown.
Brown seconds the motion. Okay, further comments? Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Yeah, a comment on the amendment. This proposed amendment is the property tax increase for next year, 2.9% increase. At least since the late 1980s, the city does this every year, slightly increasing the city property tax. After a number of years, some property owners are becoming concerned that in the aggregate, this is hurting them. When you go around to different neighborhoods and talk to people, especially senior citizens and those on fixed incomes, they're starting to talk more and more about the burden of the property tax. I think it would be nice if we would just maybe, 1 year, go without a property tax increase, especially since the economy is weakening. And because there are many people who feel that way, I have a substitute motion I'd like to introduce. The substitute motion is to prevent a property tax increase. The 2009 appropriation ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2009, by inserting the amount of $39,599,286 for the tax levies. The Finance Director is directed to certify said amount to the Minnehaha and Lincoln County auditors in accordance with SDCL 9-21-19 and SDCL 10-13-35. That's my substitute motion.
It's just to decrease the 40 to 30.
That's right, so we will not have a property tax increase.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second, Anderson.
Motion been made and seconded. Go ahead.
Yes, as I indicated in my preliminary remarks, we are having people now being burdened by this increased property taxes. And especially since the economy of our nation is weakening, this is not a good message to send to the people of Sioux Falls, that we want to, have an aggregate property tax increase in the amount of 2.9%. This is not a good message. And also at the same time, we ought to start thinking about the citizens out there that have to pay this property tax, especially those people on fixed incomes. So I would urge my colleagues to support this substitute amendment to not have a property tax increase next year.
Can I respond?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to point out that this is not a one-time tax relief that would reduce the taxes for 2009, but it would reduce it for 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, forever rolling back. There is no mechanism available to ever recover that amount of assessment back. The $1.1 million plus inflation would be lost forever, actually forever. There's nothing in the law that would allow us to recover that number.
And it compounds out. Go ahead.
Yes, I agree with what Mr. Roanhorse is saying. In the past, Especially when I was in the state senate, we tried to remedy that problem, but so far we haven't gotten legislation passed. And I hope maybe in the future this is something the city can bring before the state legislature. But also, please keep in mind, we're talking about $1 million, $1,101,000 here. And I think it's sometimes also very important to send messages to our citizens that we really do care about them. This is not a message being sent to the public that, you know, we really are that concerned about their plight when it comes to property taxes.
Further comments on the substitute motion to amend? Go ahead, Pat.
I have a question for Councilor Staggers. I mean, I've been on the council a couple of years now, and I think you've brought this or similar amendments virtually every year.
Yes.
And would it be your intent to continue to bring these forward next year and the year after? Because the thought just occurred to me that if we had done this every year, that we would be some $6 million behind in our property tax receipts now. And I'm wondering what that would do to law enforcement and the fire department and the other services that the city offers, and how we'd be able to accommodate the increasing growth that we are experiencing.
Well, see, even if this would pass, you know, saying we are not going to increase the property taxes on the citizens of Sioux Falls, we're going to have more property tax next year than we will this year. And the reason that is because of growth. State law allows us to have more property tax as a result of growth. So we are going to have more property tax, but even if this doesn't pass.
Isn't this really an inflationary adjustment? I mean, doesn't the city incur inflationary costs just like my family does at the grocery store, and everybody,
Yes.
you know, gas and energy costs and
Sure.
household goods? Isn't this just really an inflationary adjustment?
That's right. The state law says that you can have 3% or the rate of inflation, whichever is less. Now, this year, I've heard that the inflation rate is 5%. So, I mean, all the citizens of Sioux Falls are being affected by this inflation, including the city government. But it's interesting that the city budget that we're going to be, the appropriations bill that we'll be voting on tonight, is a 14% increase over what it was last year. So the city is going to be spending way, way above the rate of inflation next year. So they're not going to have any problem covering the inflation.
Doesn't that 14% include capital programs that are investments into the future of the city?
Well, of course it does. It also includes operational expenses, enterprise funds, and so forth. Yeah, includes everything.
I mean, but the 14% doesn't really tell the complete story.
It tells a big story. $412 million compared to $362 million we're spending this year. And once again, the point I'm trying to make is next year the city of Sioux Falls is going to completely outspend the rate of inflation very, very easily. Even the operations budget's up 7%.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to remind citizens that are in fixed income and elderly, there is a tax freeze program available for them. All they need to do is visit with the county treasurer's office. There's an application there, and that freezes it at, I believe, at the level they are at 64 years old.
Further comments? We've got a substitute motion to amend. Further comments on the substitute motion to amend? Everybody understand it? And all in favor of the substitute motion to amend will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Council members Brown,
No.
Costello,
No.
Jamison,
No.
Knutson,
No.
Litz,
No.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
No.
Benninga.
No.
All members present voted. That motion failed. 1 yes and 7 noes. So we're back to the motion to amend that the motion that was made by Costello and seconded by Brown for the 40 million plus. Further comments on that motion to amend? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion to amend will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
No.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
That motion has passed 7 yes and 1 no. Any other motions or comments on item number 19? Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I have another amendment to the appropriations bill. I move to amend the 2009 appropriation ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2009 by amending the 2009 general fund expenditure budget by reducing 2008 contracted service agreements with the intent to phase out funding over the next 3 years for the following 2008 organizations. The 2009 general fund expenditures are to be provided by existing 2009 budgeted funds in the assigned departments with funding as follows. The Glory House, $4,917. Community Development Department. Project CAR, $3,217, Central Services. RSVP, $1,733, Central Services Department. Senior Companion, $4,000, Health Department. Youth Enrichment, $13,333, Health Department.
That's your motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson, seconded.
Well, if I can comment on the amendment, I think all of us on the council and many of the people out in the audience are very familiar with this. All this amendment does is to restore funding to 5 nonprofit organizations, and their funding would come out of the various departments that I mentioned in the motion. This will not increase city spending.
Gene, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to point out this is the first we've seen this amendment. The charter is very clear in Section 5 that you appropriate funds by function and subfunction. And you have Exhibit A, which was attached to the original resolution, that delineates how the appropriation is contemplated at this time. Really, this ordinance does not, or this resolution, I guess it's an amendment, does not address the fact of function and subfunction, and frankly, we wouldn't know how to deal with this transaction.
I think it's very clear how we would deal with this. The Glory House, $4,917. That comes from the Community Development Department. Project CAR, $3,217. It's very clear. It comes from Central Services. RSVP, $1,733, comes from Central Services. Senior Companion, $4,000, comes from the Health Department. Youth Enrichment, $13,333. That comes from the Health Department. It's very clear what functions these come from.
To clarify what function and subfunction means, the best example that exists in our financial statements, function is safety. Subfunction is police and fire. And the entire financial statement is set up that way, and it's appropriated that way by charter. And we don't have the ability to deal with numbers below that level when you're dealing with the appropriation.
Further comments on the motion to amend?
I guess, I guess I would say this is a matter of interpretation. And I respectfully, disagree with your interpretation on this. I think the City Council should go ahead and do the right thing here, because it's very clear here what we're doing. I mean, if it was something obscure and secret and under the table, that's different. But it's very, very clear that the Community Development Department, we know where that's located at under a function. And we're just being more specific here, saying that's where it's coming from.
What do you take out then?
You don't, nothing would come out, you don't have anything to take it out of as far as the individual departments. Mm-hmm. And you really have no place to transfer this to or from, for that matter.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Gene, could you maybe make a recommendation on a function and subfunction for each of these real quick? Because I think we can all just cut to the chase here. I think that this is going to pass in some form or another, and we might as well get it right on the first time. If we could spend a couple minutes to get it right now, we won't have to deal with it again.
Let's see. The Glory House would have to go under Urban and Economic Development. Project CAR and RSVP would go under General Government. Health or a senior companion, and youth enrichment would go under health.
So
Yeah.
we've passed the budget, and now we're appropriating. Now, is this back to the budget, or?
We're back to a problem with the budget also, that the budget has been passed. We would need an amendment to the budget also, and that's already been done. And as I understand it, you don't resurrect that until after the beginning of the year.
So the charter is really,
The charter is very clear, and like I say, in Article 5, you appropriate by function and subfunction, period.
so basically you'd have to take this amount of money and add it up to whatever it is, and then take that out of someplace and then start appropriating it back, wouldn't you?
Well, you would eat into these individual departments. They would have to take something out of their departments.
So they'd have to do that,
Yes.
because otherwise you're left in, the budget's already been passed.
The budget has been approved. Both the two times that we do it, the CIP and the operating budget have both been approved and adopted by the council.
Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
I don't want to be disrespectful here, but we're chasing our tail here. We have a $413 million budget. We make changes to that on a monthly basis, and we appropriate money, we transfer monies from different areas to different areas. I think if we're trying to delay this, you're going to be unsuccessful. I think we have, as an organization, as counselors, need to prioritize. Some of the members, when we tried to veto this, didn't understand the motion that was made at that time. I believe that if you need help in sub-function and function, I think we could find people that would help us with that to make it happen.
Go ahead.
Well, I have a problem, and I haven't looked at the chart, but this was a motion before at the budget stage. And that's when you itemize and go through the thing on what you're doing. That passed. This motion amendment failed. And I don't see anything that anyone's convinced me that when you merely appropriate money, you plow that same ground again. Because all that's going on now, as I understand it, is to put together the funding for the budget you passed. And this is, again, I call it sometimes once something is over, you have to accept it. I think it should be over, and I would say that that would be how this should function. So that's my opinion.
Further questions? Go ahead.
I guess if I could modify the motion that I made to put after Community Development Department, where the money is going to come from, we put Urban and Economic Development. And then also after Project CAR, I had Central Services, we put General Government after Central Services. Then after RSVP, we had Central Services, we put General Government. And then after Senior Companion, we had Health Department. After that, put Health. Then Youth Enrichment, we have Health Department, put Health. Now we have the functions of put into this amendment. And the person who seconded this?
Second that amendment, change.
So you've got, this is substitute motion?
No, it's just, I was modifying the original amendment to make it, try to make it as simple as possible. And if Gerald would be willing to go along with that.
But I think Kenny seconded that motion. I apologize.
So this is a substitute motion to change your motion?
No, I just want to keep, would you agree, Kenny, just to go along with the addition that I made from the, to make it simple here?
From what I understand is that you just want to change.
Just add that wording.
Community development to urban as.
Well, put that in there. So,
right.
So we know it's coming from community development.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you just want to change it to what the finance director had stated.
That's right. Add the verbiage that Gene mentioned. So
that's okay with the maker in the second?
Second, Anderson.
No, that's okay with you then to change that? Okay, that's been understood.
Question for Councilor Staggers. Councilor Staggers, can you help me understand, in past years you've voted against any of the subsidies. I'm curious what has changed your position this year.
Well, the major change has been that we're not increasing the spending for the city. I guess to be quite truthful, I think I'd rather spend the $3,217 on Project CAR rather than central services, or the RSVP, spend $1,733 on RSVP rather than central services. That's what it really boils down to. Because once again, we're not adding any spending to the city's budget or to this appropriations bill.
Further comments? Everybody understands the motion to amend that has been made and seconded, and then has an understanding that you will add those statements he said.
Mr. Mayor, I would offer a substitute motion.
Okay.
I would move to take the $27,200 and create a program that allows all 200 nonprofit agencies in Sioux Falls to apply for that money.
So yours is the 27,200, and then all agencies would
Create a program that would allow any of the nonprofits, instead of those just that have been in this pipeline, to apply for that money.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
It's very tempting to second it, but I'm not going to. It's
Okay.
terribly tempting.
That motion dies for a lack of a section. We're back to the main motion. The motion been made by Staggers and seconded by Anderson.
I just have a question. Is there anything else that needs to be done now to make this work for the system? Do we need a supplemental appropriation for the 2009 general fund then?
No, because you're not changing the budget. You're not changing the appropriated amount of money. So there shouldn't be any need for any supplemental appropriation.
Mr. Mayor, I would ask that Community Development, Central Services, Health Department, I'd like to hear from those departments. Since our main function as City Council is to fund those departments, I would want to know more about what they're going to cut in order to make this happen.
Okay, is anybody here from Randy's World? Then let's go to Central Services.
Yeah.
Mike? You have two of them, it looks like.
Mike Hall, Central Services. At first blush, I mean, it's just under or just over $5,000. I don't have a good response now. I have to take a look at our budget and look at cuts in one of the four divisions of Central Services: risk management, media services, facilities management, and see where that would fall.
Questions?
Mike, what is the size of your budget for 2009?
Well, broken down by division, I mean, collectively,
Total's fine.
It's over $4 million. We also oversee several special service funds like liability and workers' compensation. I get your point. I mean, clearly, at the year's end, there's more than $5,000 that's turned over at the end of the year.
Further questions? Go ahead.
Mike, I guess Central Services, is that going to fall under the general category that we're going after here?
Correct.
Okay. I wanted to make sure.
Further questions? Not, how about health?
Regarding the roughly $17,000, if I add it up in my head, I don't have a copy in front of me, I would anticipate similar we have about a $7 million budget that we're going to, at that, most years we have about that much left, so we would be frugally watching that. But I would anticipate as we watch in 2009, we're trying to be frugal anyway with some of the projections, so I can't say exactly which things. This year, if I'm looking at my budget, I could say we had a really great season for mosquitoes. We didn't have nearly as many. Some people might say they didn't have as much rain, and we have some chemical dollars, but those kinds of things usually, that would be where it would be watching.
Judy, $17,333. How many dental appointments would that cover in your department?
How many dental appointments? If you have at least 17,000, that would certainly cost about at least 1,000, I think. Not-
How many,
yeah.
how many typical medical visits would that
Medical
cover?
visits would be also right in that also.
If I can ask a question. Judy, you don't anticipate cutting back on dental appointments or medical costs?
At this point, I just believe my answer was I'm going to be try to frugal and not have to cut back on most things, but I would certainly look at this year right now, if I were adding some of those things, that would be things I would add at that point in time if I had the option on other funding.
And you just took one, the county had $48,000 that all of a sudden that's no longer there either. So.
I just took a hit for reduction on some other things. So.
But your $8 million budget, that's what you have, isn't it?
Right around.
So, I mean, you can probably get by without cutting dental visits and medical visits and things. Not an $8 million budget.
What, pardon?
Most likely.
At this point, I can't say most likely until I see what happens in the year. Like I said, this year, what I know is I'm not going to be spending so many dollars in that sort. And most years, we do have around $17 million. But I've had years in the last 5 that I had less than $17,000 left in my budget.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Judy, you recently brought a proposal to increase the licensing fees for inspection fees for restaurants. Were those increased fees included in the 2009 budget?
No, they were not.
What do you anticipate bringing in with those increased fees?
At that point, pardon? What do I?
If those fees were-
I don't look at bringing anything in with that at this point. I don't have a proposal to bring in that, but what the mayor's just pointing out, I also just lost about $48,000 out of my own revenue. So
you don't have any estimate what those fees would generate?
I have an estimate on what the generation of those fees would bring in.
What was that?
On next year's, I don't have that figure with me here.
Was it over 17,000?
It was over 17,000.
And why aren't we going to do those? I thought you made a pretty compelling argument for those.
Oh, we are in fact, tonight we have that proposal here. We're also doing that. But yes, I'm just saying they're not in our revenue right now.
Okay, so
at this point.
I mean, those fees could potentially cover this.
Potentially.
Further questions?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I realize I'm in the minority on this topic tonight, but I just a friendly reminder that in the 6+ years I've been on the city council, we have talked publicly and between ourselves once in a while on the whole nonprofit area. I mean, it's obviously very, very difficult, and there's probably no one up here that cares, appreciates any more than I do. I'm sure all of you appreciate just as much as I do the hard work that all of these nonprofits do. And I mean, when I looked at the list in the 6+ years, I mean, I've very seldom seen an organization that I didn't think did tremendous work for our community. But for some time, I have struggled with this personally, and I think others of you have also from your discussions you've had with me in the past, and some of you have changed your mind on that, and that's your prerogative. But, the part that I've struggled with is that there are so many great nonprofits in our city, that those who knew the system, and I say that in a very positive way, not a negative way at all, but a very positive way, but they just understood the system that was in place at city level, and I think it seems like when I started, at least as a city councilor, it seemed like it was about 1% of our overall budget. That's just kind of what it was. And I know every once in a while we'd talk a little bit among ourselves about trying to get out of the subsidy business for nonprofits, not because they weren't doing wonderful work, but because we just know with the growth in our city that our city departments required more and more help financially than we were probably giving them. And I remember about 2 years ago, another very good nonprofit lobbied me pretty hard. I went to lunch, breakfast, whatever it was, and visit. And again, it was a group in our community does tremendous amount of work with refugees, and that's of course my true love, much more even than city council, if you can believe that. But anyway, I mean, they just do wonderful things, but they were not in the pipeline, so to speak. and they still aren't in the pipeline, but they do tremendous work for the 350 refugees that are brought into our city almost on a yearly basis. But I mean, but the list is very long of nonprofits that are not, that have never, I mean, I'm probably parroting too much what Councilor Brown said last week very eloquently, more so than I am. He's more eloquent than I am. But, I mean, that there are many great nonprofits, and every year or two there are more new nonprofits in our community, but, I mean, they've never, ever received any of this money. And so it's really, I mean, I think I'm making this too long, but I just want to remind you when I was chair last year is that, that clearly the vice chair and I, and probably one or two of the rest of you, visited with the subsidy committee. I mean, in fact, we were very much invited to participate in that process, and a couple of us councilors talked about that and thought, not only the tremendous time commitment of interviewing all of these nonprofits on the list, but also just the separation of powers between administration and city council, that we made the decision, right or wrong, to not participate in those lengthy days and days and days of meetings. And anyway, I just, it's a very, very difficult issue. I mean, I think, frankly, it takes a lot of political courage to start weaning ourselves from the nonprofit business, even though they do great work. And I guess that's enough for now.
Further comments on the motion to amend? Vernon?
Just to follow up with what Councilor Knudsen said, I'm going to use one agency as a perfect example, the Banquet, an agency that cuts across all levels of the city, children, adults, working poor, senior citizens. Never been a part of this pipeline, never has received dollars from this. And they're struggling right now, too, very seriously. They're seeing more people using the services. They're struggling to feed everyone. They've never had the opportunity to be a part of this city funding. That's just one example of 200 or so nonprofits in this city. 170 of them, roughly, have never had the opportunity to be a part of this pipeline. It's a fairness issue.
Further comments? None. All in favor of approving the amendment, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Brown,
No.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Knudsen,
No.
Litz,
Yes.
Stagers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
All members present have voted. That has been approved. 6 yes, 2 no. Other motions to amend? Go ahead.
Yes. I have a motion to amend the title of the ordinance to comply with City Ordinance 2-22D, which states, "The subject shall be clearly expressed in the title." The proposed amendment would amend the title to read, "An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing appropriations and the means of financing them, which includes a property tax increase of 2.9%, or $1,101,930 of tax levies for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2009.
That's a substitute motion to amend the title? Or motion
It's
to?
just, yes, just to amend the title.
Is there a second to that?
For sense of discussion, I'll second that.
Go ahead.
Yes. The 8 years I spent in the South Dakota State Senate, we had a number of bills coming before us providing for tax increases. Every time a bill like that would come before us, we knew we were voting for or against a tax increase because it said so in the title. It was very, very clear. My first year on the council, we voted for the appropriations bill, and then later on I discovered there was a property tax increase. I don't think anybody on the council, when we voted on it, knew there was a property tax increase. So in order to really comply with the City Ordinance 2-22 that says the subject shall be clearly expressed in the title, we have to let the citizens of Sioux Falls know that we're having a property tax increase. We have to have this transparency in government. The way the title is right now, there is no way any citizen would know that we're having a property tax increase. So that's all that we're doing here, is providing transparency for the citizens of Sioux Falls to know that next year they're going to get a property tax increase.
Further comments on the motion to amend? Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, if that verbiage is put into the title, I would recommend that we have the correct number put in there. We've had this discussion for several years now about the mill levy and how that operates. And for the last, since 2005 through 2008, the mill levy has dropped from 4.49 mils to 4.32 mils. This year, we do in fact have a true tax increase up to 4.36 mils. That tax increase is actually $162,000, not $1,000,001.
So, go ahead.
Why then, Gene, in your budget, did you have that $1,101,930?
That is
These are your figures. They're not my figures.
No, the issue is the tax rate, and we are allowed to adjust the tax rate by the state law, which allows 3% or the lower of 3% or the CPI.
Right.
And that's what's actually adjusted in the deal, and not the levies. So the levy, we've been calculating it for you to demonstrate that in fact the tax rate has been going down, and this tax rate has been going down also.
See, this ordinance, let me clarify this for everybody. I served 6 years on the Senate Taxation Committee. I served 2 years on the Appropriations Committee. What we have here is an aggregate property tax increase of 2.9%, or $1,101,930. We're not talking about the mill levy in here. We're talking about this aggregate property tax increase. And that's what we want the citizens of Sioux Falls to know. And that's what this title change would allow them to know. There is an aggregate property tax increase of 2.9%. I don't know why.
Like I said, the tax rate is the issue.
We're not talking about the mill levy. We're talking about an aggregate property tax increase of 2.9%.
That's no different than at the federal level. When they talk about a tax cut, it's the rate that gets cut, not some aggregate number that is allowed by law.
Yeah, we've talked about this for a number of years, and I don't know, maybe sometime we're going to have somebody from the Department of Revenue come down here and brief the City Council on this. This is a property tax increase.
Well, we've got the motion before us to approve this motion to amend the title. Further comments?
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I guess, I've been here 3 years, and every year I knew there was the amount of property taxes that gets collected goes up. I look at my bill, but I understand the arguments about the rates and all. But fact is Mr. Staggers is correct. There is an ordinance that clearly states this, and we as a council either have to abide by it or we have to change the ordinance. That's how I feel tonight.
Further comments? Seeing all in favor of the motion to approve the amendment, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Brown,
No.
Costello,
No.
Jamison,
No.
Knutson,
No.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
Munson, no. That motion fails. So we're back to the main motion of approving 19 as amended. Further comments? Not all in favor of
Yes, I
approving?
do have a comment here.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm very disappointed in that last vote denying transparency here in the city government. But let me mention that this is a difficult vote that I have this evening for this appropriations bill. One of the reasons it's a difficult vote is because we have a 14% increase in spending for next year. This year we're spending $362 million. Next year we're spending $412 million. This bill kind of reminds me of some of the legislation that takes place in Washington, D.C. and the U.S. Congress. You know what happens? They get a bill in Washington, and then they load it up with all kinds of stuff. And so there's a lot of good stuff in a bill. There's a lot of bad stuff in a bill. So a senator or a U.S. House member has to decide, what am I going to do? There's good and bad in this bill. Should I vote for it or vote against it? Well, that's the way this bill is for me. There are good things in the appropriations bill, but also there's some things in the appropriations bill which we shouldn't be spending money on, especially next year. And next year, of course, we could have a further weakening of the economy here in our country and also in Sioux Falls. and we're not being careful at all about our spending for next year. But taking a look at this appropriations bill, I guess there's more good in it than bad. So without any great enthusiasm, I will be voting for this appropriations bill.
Further comments? Not all in favor of approving item 19 as amended, to vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson, Benninga.
Yes.
All members present vote aye. Item 19 has been approved, 8-0. Item 20.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property west of Colbert Avenue at the end of West 60th Street from the AG Agricultural District to the RS2 Residential District, petition number 2008-0508, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property is located south of West 57th Street and east of the TLS Road. It's approximately 2.2 acres in size. Thurman Construction is the applicant, and the proposal is to develop this into 7 single-family lots. We will also have item 27 on the agenda tonight pertaining to this item.
Questions of Mike on item number 20? Others that wish to address the council on item number 20? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So
I
move,
so-
let's.
Let's move.
I second the motion.
Knutson seconds. Further comments?
I just had a, Mike, you said that item 27
Yes.
was also, why are they not included together, or I just,
One's an ordinance, one's resolution. So we typically do those separately.
yeah, thank you.
Further comments? Not all in favor of the motion to approve item 20, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 20 has been approved, 8-0. Item 31.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, correcting the legal description of annexation resolution number 143-08, annexation legal description correction 2008-05-14, 26th Street and South Dakota Highway 11, Paulstrom.
This property was previously approved by the City Council to be annexed upon a petition from the property owners. And after it was annexed, we discovered that there was an error in the legal description. So we would like to correct that tonight. And we have 2 additional items tonight that will pertain to this same property.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve, Anderson.
Second.
Second, Jamison.
Others that wish to address the council on item number 31? Not? You need amendments, all right, this way?
Yep.
Okay. No further comment. All in favor of approving item 31 will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz, Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 21.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the southeast corner of East 26th Street and South Dakota Highway 11 from the AG Agricultural District to the RS2 Residential District, petition number 2008-0804, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is the property that we've corrected as far as the annexation. It's about 4.6 acres, and Van Buskirk Company is proposing to develop this into 10 single-family lots as part of the Copper Creek addition. We will also be considering item 28 later tonight, which is the subdivision plan for this property.
Questions of Mike on item number 21? Others that wish to address the council on item 21? Not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Brown.
Brown moves, second.
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconds. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 21, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benninga.
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 21 is approved 8-0. Item 22. On this one, Council Member Jamison will be excused.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at East 57th Street and South Dakota Highway 11 from AG Agricultural District to the Falcon Heights Plan Development District, petition number 2008-0619, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property is about 94 acres. It is located south of East 57th Street and east of South Dakota Highway 11. The proposal is to develop this into a mixed-use and commercial development. The City Council back in July did approve a land use amendment, and this zoning is consistent with that land use amendment.
Questions of Mike on item number 22? Others that wish to address the council on item number 22? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Let's
move. Is there a second?
Second, Benega.
Benega seconds. Further comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 22 has been approved. Item 23.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at West 85th Street and South Rambler Place from O Office District to the RA1 Residential District, petition number 2008-0815, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is about 2.9 acres on the north side of West 85th Street and east of South Louise Avenue. The applicant is Stencil Construction, and they are proposing to develop multifamily units on this property that was approved for office zoning.
Questions of Mike on item 23? Others that wish to address the council on item 23? Not, there's a motion to approve?
So moved. Let's
move. Is there a second?
Second, Benega.
Benega seconded. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
All members present have voted 8-0. Item 23 has been approved. Item 24.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a major amendment, petition number 2008-0814 to Chapter 15.45.070, Plan Development District at the northwest corner of West 18th Street and South Grange Avenue, amending the Sanford USD Medical Center Plan Development District subarea regulations. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is just under 1/2 acre in size. It has recently been acquired by Sanford Medical, and this amendment will change the proposed uses from commercial to medical.
Questions of Mike on item number 24? Others that wish to address the council on item number 24? Not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Anderson.
Anderson, second.
Second, Benega.
Benega seconded. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Brown,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Benega.
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 24 has been approved 8-0. Item 25. Yeah, there we go. 26 is on there.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending Section 5-16 of Chapter 5, Alcoholic Beverages.
Lori Hogstead with the City Finance Office. This proposed amendment would allow off-sale dealers to sell wine on Sundays. An off-sale dealer is a packaged liquor store, and currently they're allowed to sell, of course, wine, beer, and spirits Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to midnight, and on Sundays, per city ordinance, they're allowed to sell malt beverage or beer only on Sundays. This came to light just recently because of the change in the retail wine license. That license is now an on- and off-sale license. And what that does, it allows the businesses that have the wine license to also sell wine to go, and that includes Sundays. This was raised to my attention. I believe she also contacted most of you by Heather Boyson of Taylor's Pantry, and she just asked that we take a look at this and possibly add wine to level the playing field so that the packaged liquor stores could also sell wine on Sundays, as do many of the restaurants.
Questions of Lori on item 25? Let's go 26 then. Okay, Pat's here.
Lori, this they still can't sell hard liquor.
That is correct. They under this proposal, they could sell malt beverages, anything with a malt base, basically beer and some of the malt-based wine cooler products, and then wine, but no, not spirits or hard liquor, whatever you wish to call it.
Why, do you have any history of the law on why that is? I mean, is that relevant in today's society?
Well, I really don't have a history on that. You know, the way that the state law reads is the municipality can set the hours and what can be sold on Sundays. And for whatever reason, you know, many years ago we had a request for the beer, and that was fine, and now we've received a request for the wine. I haven't had any requests for a full-scale liquor sales on Sunday, but that, you know, that's a possibility. The only time that we can do that right now under the current ordinance is if New Year's Eve falls on a Sunday. You know, and that came up because the packaged liquor stores couldn't sell any liquor, and that was one of their biggest days. And so that change was made in the ordinance.
Wasn't that made for Thanksgiving, too?
No, Thanksgiving they can still sell.
Okay.
The only 2 days that they cannot sell are, well, it's just the Sundays, but then when New Year's Eve would fall on a Sunday, then they couldn't sell anything except for beer. So, but no, Thanksgiving is fine.
Further questions in 25? Go to 26.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending the fee schedule set forth in Chapter 23, licenses.
Jill Franken, Assistant Director of the Sioux Falls Health Department. We have been reviewing our fees under Chapter 23 and for about the last year. It has been numerous years since these fees have been increased. We've been watching the regional trending, and the trend that we have noted that is going on in the other communities around us is that they are really looking to set fees to be able to cover the costs of those inspections and the licensing itself for those for those particular things, considering restaurant licensing as well as grocery licensing. Departments that also look to cover their costs with their fees generated by the licenses are such as like building services and the fire department for those inspections that they do. So it is our goal to increase the annual fees, license fees, to cover the cost of our licensing and inspection process. We looked at several methods that are done regionally to manage this by other communities, and we found that as many communities as we looked at, there were that many different methodologies for how they assigned and developed their fee process. But again, the major theme that we found was that they wanted to be able to cover the cost of the service. So we then determined the program costs that the health department has in our budget to cover inspections. We then developed a formula to look at a workload unit so that we could fairly distribute fee charges for those various entities. And once we based what that cost per workload unit was, then we were able to set the fees accordingly and do a fair fee setting. Several of you have seen the recommendation that we have brought forward to the fiscal subcommittee a couple of different times, and I apologize for the viewing audience or in the back here that it's a little small to see. But what we have identified for you is there are basically three categories for our restaurants. There's what I guess in very simplistic terms could be considered small, medium, and large. The 0 to 2,500 square feet, 2,500 to 5,000 square feet, and then greater than that. That's what you see in the shaded gray area. You can see the number of active facilities in each of those categories. What we currently charge for fees, for example, for a small restaurant, their base fee would be $55. What our proposed fee is, that we're increasing that, and you can see that $105, that would be a relative one workload unit value. That's what we assigned for the small restaurants. So $105 is sort of that one workload unit value. What we did then is we looked at what might be helpful to know is what that increase, that $50 increase for that particular fee, what that would cost per day for an entity, and that would be about 20 cents a day. So there you can look through at the medium and large, if you categorize them that way, the increase, and then the average increased cost per day associated with those as well. So when I talk about the workload unit being $105 for the small restaurants, you can see then that we consider a restaurant that's 2,500 to 5,000 square feet to be about 1.5 workload units, to give you some reference there as to how we came up with that. We also have additional food prep fee that had we're recommending that as a $53 increase, and that was currently $50. So what we have before you also in the gray shaded area are some comparisons. We have an example of convenience store, typical fee, fast food restaurant, medium-sized dining, and large-sized dining, for examples. What I would like to share with you is currently, the second column is showing our current Sioux Falls fee along with the state fee. In order for us to give a fair comparison, wanted to be make sure you were aware that we have delegated act to provide a restaurant inspection for the state via contract with them, and those fees that they generate are reverted back to us. So that, for example, convenience store, $135 is our local Sioux Falls fee for the Sioux Falls license, as well as the state reverted fee, to give you a fair comparison. So then in the next columns 3 and 4, you can see Albert Lee and Fargo as a comparison. And then the last column is the proposed fee increase along with the state reversion as it currently exists. Then in the blue area, it corresponds down then to grocery, and you can see that we have food selling, and then a food processing category, and then a combined food selling and food processing category, and the number of active facilities that we inspect for those entities. We have the current fees listed there as well in line column 3, and then the proposed fee for 2005. So you can see, for example, for somebody that is doing simply food selling, an establishment, that would be $105 for that fee. And then the example, as we did above, with the average increased cost per day. We also have additional fees for each additional area that you can see below as well. So the regional comparison that you would have is a large grocery, and that would be a very average, if you want to say average large grocery, in Sioux Falls that currently would pay about $525 for their fees, and that would include grocery as well as restaurant. Our larger groceries have usually a couple of restaurants in them, and so they pay a combination of food selling and food service fees. And then the Mankato and Fargo comparison, so you get a Minnesota and North Dakota comparison, and then what we're proposing, if the proposal is approved, then that's what someone with a large grocery store would pay for their fees in 2009. We then, after we developed this as what we were recommending for fees, we sent a letter to all establishments that we are currently inspecting and licensing, and we offered for them to come and visit with us on October 30th. Open forum for them to come and just visit with one of our inspectors or Luann Ford and myself and talk about any questions or concerns they have. We had one person come, and that was a baker who is licensed to do wedding cakes in her home. And that was the only person that came. We then also received phone calls from 2 grocers calling with simply questions as far as just clarification. And then we had also 3 owners of very small food selling establishments that did call. They did call, and they did have some concerns about how this fee increase would impact them. They sell very few items in their groceries. Along with it might be a specialty store that has a couple of grocery items that then we have to inspect and create a license for. So what we are recommending is we are recommending the proposed increase in the 2009 as it's revised in your proposal, and then incremental increases over the next 5 years with a goal then of being able to cover our costs with our inspection fees. This recommendation for 2009 will not cover our costs yet. That's why we have developed an incremental increase over the next 5 years that, based on variables that may come into play in those years, we will either up or down what we have kind of forecasted for those increases, so that by 2013 we'll finally get to a point where we're covering our fees, or covering the costs of our service with our fees. You can see included in the ordinance revision are also 2 other fees that had also not been adjusted for a number of years, and that we are recommending slight adjustments there as well. Based on the feedback that we received, we are evaluating additional food selling fee for the very small entities that do some grocery selling or food processing of some sort. They may be repackaging things and then selling them for sale, or have very limited items. We are going to look at a separate category for them and perhaps have one fee that's separate for them as well. And we will be bringing that, a proposal for that next week. And finally, I know there's been some comments and some interest in us looking at temporary fees as well as reinspection fees, and we plan to spend some time here over the months ahead and prior to the season of temporary temporary events occurring, and we will be looking to bring that forward to the council as well, some reinspection fees as well as temporary event fees.
Questions of item, Jill, on item 26? Go ahead.
Yeah, Jill, I wasn't really able to see the numbers on the chart very well. So the fees that the state charges when they go, anywhere in the state, how do they compare to what we charge here?
Well, anywhere in the state, we did regional comparisons with other communities similar to size, not necessarily within the state, but we wanted to compare to similar communities, and these communities that we pulled were ones that we found to be similar.
I guess my concern is, first of all, we don't have to be in this business, the city of Sioux Falls. We don't have to be involved in this inspection. We can allow the state to do it if we want to. And I'm just curious as to how much the state charges. Do they charge substantially more than we do, or less than we do, or whatever?
It almost has to be done on a establishment by establishment basis, because they charge based on seating, whereas we charge based on the size of the establishment. So when we have looked at the comparisons, that's what we did, was we looked at specific establishments, and we looked at how many seats they actually do have, and that's how we came up with the comparisons. So as far as what we receive from the state, I don't know if that's what you're asking.
No, I mean, we could just say to the state of South Dakota, I guess we're not going to be in this business anymore. We just want to have your state inspectors coming here to take care of this matter. Would they be able to do it cheaper, more expensive, or what?
I would have to have them answer that question.
Okay. Another question I have is in regard to, on the national level, there are some federal regulatory agencies that regulate different businesses. And there's the concept of self-regulation, whereby the companies themselves regulate their own behavior, and then there's a process where this is reported to the federal government. The point I'm trying to make here is that in Sioux Falls, we have some businesses that probably have higher health standards than the health department has. Is there any way we could come up with a system where, we could not necessarily go there all the time taking a look, because their standards are higher, and they do enforce their standards?
I guess to answer your question, in the research that we have been doing to look at other communities and try and find innovative ways that they are also doing this same service, many of them are actually inspecting more often for various entities than less often.
That's not particularly creative, regulation at all. It's just the same old stuff.
It's policy that we have in ordinance, and it's basic public health practice. And I guess that's where policy is set by this council. But it's based on what's in our ordinance is based on good public health practice.
Yeah, and that's the reason I was asking about some different ways of doing things. Because, like I said, at the national level, they're trying new regulatory ways of dealing with business, and maybe we ought to, think about that at the city level too.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You got to tell you, Councilor Costello and I were at a place a while back where we saw a meat slicer in the bathroom, so I'm glad you do these inspections. But my question to you would be, you anticipate raising these rates every 5 years, and at the time when they increase every year, would you be bringing them back much like the Public Works does when they do it on assessments and such?
Yes, that's our intent.
Very good, thank you.
At the point of order, that place burned to the ground, so nobody's got to worry about that anymore.
Further comments on 26? Go ahead.
Yeah, the only, to reply to Kermit on this, public safety is our business. And inspecting these restaurants is a health issue. I believe it's something that we do need to continue. And also the website that shows these findings from our health department is one of the most hit websites here in the city. So there is a definite concern from the public also on this.
Yes.
So I feel that once, I'm going to strongly disagree with you on this, and that this is something that is needed, and if it's not broke, let's not fix it.
Well, I think
this is the first reading. We're going to have another shot at it. So
I
this
think
is just the first reading, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's
The
move on.
point I'm trying to make is maybe we can do things a lot better instead of the same old way. Because, Jill, you're in these businesses once a year, aren't you, basic?
Twice a year.
Twice a year.
Or
So
more,
that's-
depending on.
Yeah, that's 2 times out of 365 days. And Bob mentioned about finding that item in the restroom. I'm sure that was a business that was inspected by the city health department, so.
Further questions? Okay, if not, is there a motion to set the hearing date for items 25 and 26 for October 20th at 7 o'clock?
So moved, Brown.
Brown moves, there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Who's second? Anderson, okay. Okay, motion's been made, second, to set the hearing date for October 20th for item 25 and 26. All in favor of that motion, vote yes, those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson? Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes. All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. The hearing date has been set for October 20th for items 25 and 26. Item 27.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving the preliminary plan of Galway Park Phase 5 Edition, 2008-05-11. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is the land that we considered on item 20 for the rezoning, and this shows the development plan for the 7 single-family lots. And again, just to answer Councilor Anderson's question, the preliminary plans are adopted by resolution, and the zoning amendments are adopted by ordinance. This does meet all of our requirements, and we are recommending approval.
Questions of Mike on item number 27. Others that wish to address the council? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve item 27?
So moved,
Let's move second.
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item 27, vote yes, those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yeah.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. That item 27 has been approved. Item 28.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving the preliminary plan of Copper Crest Circle and extension of Copper Creek Addition, 2008-08-03. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is the property that we considered for item 21 to rezone for single-family development, and this shows the development plan with a new street extension called Copper Crest Circle, and this will be developed into 10 single-family residential lots.
Questions of Mike on item number 28. Others that wish to address the council on item 28? None, is there a motion to approve?
I so move Knutson.
Knutson moves second.
Litz.
Litz seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor, vote yes, those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 28 has been approved 8-0. Item 29.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Sioux Falls and TerraPass, Inc., a Delaware corporation, for a verified emission reductions purchase and sale agreement.
Good evening, Kevin Smith with the Office of Public Works. As was discussed this afternoon at the informational meeting, this resolution would allow the city to sell approximately $184,000 worth of carbon credits to TerraPass Incorporated. We have the benefit of accruing those credits after the installation and beginning of operation of our landfill gas flare in April of 2006. This is a one-time arrangement for the carbon credits earned in calendar year 2007 and the first 2 months of 2008, and any future purchases of this sort would have to be brought back in front of the City Council. Also in the audience, we have Mark Mickelson, who has worked with Matt Evans from R.W. Beck, sourcing different buyers, potential buyers for the carbon credits, and also Dave McElroy, our landfill superintendent. We're all available for questions if there are any.
Questions of Kevin? Others that wish to address the council on item 29? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Second. Jamison.
Jamison seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmembers Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 29 has been approved 8-0. Item 30.
A resolution including certain contiguous territory within the corporate limits of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, annexation 2008-08-02, 57th Street, and 1/2 mile east of South Dakota Highway 11, 10K.
If you notice that Council Member Jameson will be excused from item 30.
We have a petition by the property owner, 10 Cape Properties, LLC, requesting annexation of this 79-acre parcel. It's on the south side of East 57th Street and approximately 1/2 mile east of Highway 11. The proposed development plans are looking at a combination of commercial, office, and residential land uses. Staff is recommending approval.
Questions of Mike on item number 30? Others that wish to address the council on item number 30? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Let's
move. Is there a second?
Second, Anderson.
Anderson seconded. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve item number 30, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison? Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 30 has been approved 8-0. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Let's.
Seconded. All in favor of adjournment will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
We are adjourned.